Guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video. We are going to be making these 3 high-end decor pieces using only Dollar Tree products. I had so much fun making this video, so let's get started. Can't wait to share it with you guys. So for the first one, I'm just taking an 8x10 picture frame that I got at the dollar store, and I'm going to paint the entire frame white. This is actually an antique white paint. I had it on hand. I used it for the dressers that I refinished, but the Dollar Tree does sell paint, so you could definitely pick some up there as well. Once I have it painted and it's drying, I'm going to take this pretty floral wrapping paper that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. This was in their wedding section, and I'm just going to fit it to the glass piece and use some super hot glue to secure it so that it is completely formed to the 8x10 piece of glass. I saw some other people on YouTube doing some crafts, and they had some really pretty floral like tissue paper for springtime that they used in their crafts, but mine didn't have that, so that stunk. But next I'm taking this window cling. I wanted something a little bit more solid to do this project with, but I couldn't find anything at my dollar store, and I wanted to keep it strictly Dollar Tree products. So this bunny window cling will work. I just placed some hot glue all over the back of it, and I'm gluing it to the center of the glass piece that has the wrapping paper on it. And I'm making sure that it is really secure with the hot glue because we are going to be putting some like wood moss on top of it, and it'll weigh it down a little bit, so we don't want it to come off. So once the glue has dried and the bunny is set, we are going to go ahead and take our moss and start gluing it all over the shape of the bunny. Don't be alarmed if you do this and it just does not look like a bunny at all to begin with. That's kind of just how it goes. You need to really sort of manipulate and trim down and shape this project. So this one definitely did take the longest out of all of the projects that I did, just because, as you can see there was a lot of trimming that I needed to do, and even just cutting down the length of the moss on the top of the bunny, as you can see I'm doing here, just to make it look a little bit more intentional and I guess elegant and clean cut. So we're just going to go ahead and trim the bunny down until I get it how I like it. And then once I do, I'm just going to take some different colored ribbons that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I settled on this yellow mesh one and this like lace type ribbon. And I'm just going to put a bow on the little bunny's collar just to give it a little bit of color and a little extra something. So for my bow, I'm actually going to just hot glue the knot on the bunny, and then I'm going to make the loops and hot glue them, and then sort of take some of that lace material and make the center of the bow. I prefer to do it this way. When I personally try to tie a bow, it doesn't go well. I've never been able to like tie a bow that looks gorgeous that I could just glue right on something. So this way makes the bow look better, at least in my case, because I suck at tying them. So yeah. And once we have this bow all finished, that's it. This project was super easy. Like I said, this one took the longest, and it was done within 30 minutes. So here is that final project. I love how this turned out. I have this in my kitchen, and it just is so classy and so gorgeous. For the next one, we are going to take a glass vase that I got at the Dollar Tree and these wooden picks, also from the Dollar Tree, and we are just going to start gluing them all around, completely around the vase. These will add a good bit of extra height to the vase, which is what I was going for. But if you don't want it like that, you could always trim these wooden pieces down. They didn't have any shorter ones at my Dollar Tree, but they may have shorter ones at yours, of course. So this part took a little bit of time. Really, it was just, gluing and sticking it on. And so of course this probably took maybe 5 minutes to get it all glued on. I will say that as I was going along, I found that some were falling off. As you can see, I'm showing you here. So there were a few that I had to re-glue, but we're going to tie some ribbon around this so they will definitely be held more securely once we do that. So I picked up this like burlap lacy ribbon. This was in their spring section this year, and I'm going to make a bow on this the same exact way that I made a bow on the last one. I do go ahead and glue this one to the wood pieces just so that I know that it won't be wobbling around and moving on me, and I know that it's centered as I'm trying to make the bow. If you are going to make bows this way, one tip that I have is to go, when you make your first loop, go under with the second one. So under where you put the first loop. That will definitely make it look a lot neater, but either way, you're gonna have to add that centerpiece so that it covers where you shaped the loops. But if you tied a bow naturally, that centerpiece would be there anyway, so. Now that we are finished with the vase, we're gonna go ahead and start on what we're putting in the vase. So the Dollar Tree had these foam Easter eggs in their spring section this year, and I'm not a fan of the super bright neon colors, so I'm just gonna take that same antique white paint that we used in the last craft, and I'm gonna paint all of these white. This did take a couple of coats, I guess, just because the foam, it was styrofoam, so I guess it just kept soaking up the paint. So it took me, I would say probably at least 2 coats, some of them 3 if they were a darker color, to make it be completely white. This is probably one of my #1 tips for Dollar Tree DIYs. If you see something in the dollar store that you like, you can easily alter it. I didn't like the color of those eggs, but it was super simple to paint them and make them into something that worked for me. I'm also taking some of these plastic gold eggs that they had in the Dollar Tree this year in their spring section, and I'm just widening the hole a little bit and then shoving one of those wooden picks down to make some golden eggs. And I make about 5 of those as well to go with the white ones, as you can see here. Once all the white ones are dry and I have the gold ones made, I'm just gonna take some jewel that I picked up and tie a bow around each one just to give it a little bit of extra, I don't know, pizzazz, if you will. So that is what I'm gonna do here. I'm just going to tie a bow on all of the gold ones and all of the white ones. Once I have them all assembled, I'm just gonna start putting them into the vase. I did have to glue the first few sort of where I wanted them to lie because the vase was so tall. If I would have just dropped them in there, they would have gone down, you know, straight to the bottom. None of these sticks for long enough. So the first several I glue to the side where I want them to be, and then the rest of them just sort of were able to rest on the ones that I had glued. You will see at the end here that I do end up adding some of the plastic eggs that are like a pastel color. And that's just because once I got all of these ones in there, I felt like A, I needed more eggs and I didn't have any more of the styrofoam ones to paint white or any more of the gold ones. And B, because I just felt like it needed some color with the wooden and the burlap face and then the white and gold eggs. It just needed a little bit of color. So you will see, when I show you the final project, that I did add some of the colorful eggs, and I did that the same way that I did the gold ones. I just took my scissors and widened the hole a little bit and then stuck the wooden piece in there. The only thing I did different is I did not add the bow to the colored ones with the jewel. And here is this finished product. You can see the colored eggs there. This was my family's favorite one. We took votes on which of the 3 projects they liked best, and this was their favorite. Okay, so for the final one, I'm just taking this wreath piece that I picked up, again, from the dollar store. Every product that I used today was from the dollar store. And then I'm taking some of that same moss that I used in the first project, and I'm picking out, there were some wood pieces in this part of the bag, so I'm picking out like the big sticks. And then I'm just going to sort of form the moss to look like a nest and start gluing it down. This was very similar to the first project. It took a bit to get the moss all glued down enough, but once I did, it did look like a bird's nest, like a little homemade bird's nest. And then I'm going to take another pack of those 6 colorful eggs, which by the way, I think are so cute. I really think the Dollar Tree stepped up their game with these this year. And I'm just going to glue these into the nest and make them look like, you know, a thing of eggs that a mama bird had laid. The eggs also took a little bit to make sure that they were secure just because of the way the moss is. So I ended up at the end sort of gluing some of the eggs to each other just to make sure that they were secure. The first time that I went to the Dollar Tree, when my dollar store first put out their spring stuff, they did not have these eggs in there. And then I ended up seeing them in another video, and I went back that day, like the day that I watched that video, and mine had them. So if yours doesn't, maybe try a different one. I don't know. Okay, so then I picked up all these different floral pieces from the spring section in the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to take my wire cutters and trim off a few pieces of each different flower to use on the wreath. I didn't end up using nearly all of these flowers, so I will save these for another project. I just got to figure out what I'll use them for, but they definitely will not be thrown away because I don't believe in wasting things. So once I have all of the flowers, I'm just going to start gluing them on either side of the nest. And I really didn't have a plan for this. I kind of just went in like wherever they end up, they end up. So especially on the first side, I really just sort of glued, and then I followed the same pattern that I ended up using on the second side. So they do end up looking the same, but I didn't go into this with any real sort of plan on how I wanted it to look. I just knew that I wanted flowers on either side of the nest. I thought I was done here, but then I decided that it needed some of the purple. So, you know, isn't that what us crafters do? We just like think something's done and then we just go in for more. So if I was rating one of these crafts as my favorite, this is the one that I would pick. Let me know down below which of the 3 are your favorite, because we're having like a running fight in my house about this. Most people said the second craft, and then me and my daughter both said this one. So we argue about it all the time, which one's better. No one liked the bunny. I mean, they liked the bunny one, but none of them said the bunny one was their favorite, when I originally thought that was going to be my favorite until I made this wreath. So again, let me know down below which of the 3 were your favorite. The last thing that we need to do for this wreath is to just add a bow. And I picked up this pink ribbon, again, from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use most of this roll because I want it to be a really big, pretty bow. So I'm going to make this bow the same way that I made all the other bows that I've made in this video. I do sort of fit it where I want it to hit on the wreath, and then I do glue it on just like I did with the vase, just so that it is centered and it doesn't move on me either when I am trying to tie the bow or when I'm hanging it, or it doesn't end up like, you know, turning the wreath as it's hanging on the door. This was the bow that I probably had the most difficult time making, and I don't really know why. I guess maybe because I was trying to like tie it not fitted to something, I don't know. This one was hard for me to make, so it takes me a minute, but we get it done. If you guys have any awesome Dollar Tree DIY videos that you have seen recently, please drop the name of the channel below or drop your channel name if you've made one below. I would absolutely love to watch them. I'm kind of obsessed with them lately. There have been 4 or 5 that I have watched several times because I am just so in awe about the things that people do with Dollar Tree products. So if you have any favorites or if you make them, seriously, drop your links below. I will watch the videos because this crafty mama is obsessed right now. That's been my thing. And I actually got my mom obsessed as well. She called me this morning and was like, I am obsessed with these Dollar Tree YouTube videos. And I was like, yeah, me too. So drop your links. My mama and I will watch them all. I promise you. And then we'll probably make the crafts and credit you somewhere. So give us a link. And this is the final product here. This is my favorite. This is hanging on our pantry door, and I just love the way it's springy, but not too flashy. It's definitely my favorite product that I made. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one on Friday. Bye, guys.